If you have passed the age of 60, you've probably heard whispers, perhaps even serious warnings, about something few dare to say out loud: masturbation. Some say it's a bad habit. Others remain silent as if it's a taboo. But have you ever asked yourself if what you've heard over the years is really true? Or are they merely shadows of outdated misconceptions, making us overlook a quiet secret that could make the body healthier, the spirit lighter, and perhaps help us live longer? I have met no small number of men over 65 who quietly hide these doubts until scientific truth leaves them stunned and speechless. In the next few minutes, I want you to join me in opening a completely different perspective, one where this is no longer shameful but part of comprehensive health care. And perhaps after hearing it all, you will realize you've overlooked a natural medicine that costs nothing, needs no prescription, but brings great changes to your heart, brain, and even your emotional heart. So stay with me, because you'll want to hear to the end. Who knows? Just a few pieces of information today could change how you see your body for the rest of your life. That day, I once thought that after 60, a man's business was only a memory. But then, during a routine checkup, a man in his 70s named Tan told me a story that made me think deeply. He said, "I thought it was just for fun, but turns out it's a way to exercise it." I laughed, but the more I listened, the more I realized he was right. Every time there is an erection, blood rich in oxygen and nutrients rushes into the erectile tissue of the penis, like watering a parched garden. That blood nourishes every cell, keeps tissues elastic, reflexes sharp, and prevents the numbness or loss of sensation many older men experience. In fact, this is a kind of silent exercise that is just as necessary as walking every day for the heart, only it cares for a part of the body tied to confidence, manhood, and self-image. I remember the look in Mr. Tan's eyes when he said, "I do it not just for satisfaction, but so it stays a part of me, healthy as it should be." That sentence may sound simple, but it carries a deep respect for the body. At this age, we can't turn back time, but we can preserve what we still have. And sometimes that starts with quietly caring for a part of ourselves we were once proud of. Have you ever thought you might do the same? If not, perhaps it's time you looked at this with fresh eyes. I still clearly remember the story of Mr. Lamb, 68 years old, a man of few words who was extremely shy when it came to private matters. During a follow-up visit, when I asked about how often he relieved himself, he smiled awkwardly and replied, "I stopped long ago. I heard people say doing it often harms the prostate. It's scary." That sentence made me sit down and explain carefully. For years, many men have carried an invisible fear that masturbation would wear down their health, while modern science shows the opposite. A famous Harvard University study, following thousands of men over many years, found that those who ejaculated frequently had a significantly lower risk of prostate cancer. The reason is simple. Every ejaculation flushes out substances that could be harmful, preventing them from building up in the ducts over time. I told Mr. Lamb to imagine the prostate like a water tank. If water sits for too long, debris and bacteria grow easily, but if you regularly drain and refill it, it stays clear and clean. His eyes widened in surprise, and then he sighed. "So, all my life I feared something that was actually good for me." At this age, caring for the prostate isn't just about checkups or medication. Sometimes it lies in small, natural actions that cost nothing but quietly protect health. And who knows, just a shift in thinking today could keep you feeling safe and healthy for the rest of your years. Have you ever allowed yourself to think that way? There was a time I met Mr. Kwong, 72, after prostate surgery. He told me that since the operation, he often leaked urine after going to the bathroom, He avoided going out, avoided meeting friends, afraid of an accident. Hearing this, I asked if he had been training his pelvic floor muscles. He looked puzzled. What muscles? I only walked gently, so I explained. The pelvic floor is a group of deep muscles, like a hammock, supporting the organs in the lower abdomen, helping control urination and sexual function. And here's the interesting part. Each time you reach orgasm, those muscles contract rhythmically, creating a natural but highly effective workout. I told him about another patient who combined masturbation with Kegel exercises. In just a few months, he had greatly reduced leakage and felt healthier, more confident. Mr. Kwong laughed. So, I can exercise this way too? I nodded, telling him that some of the best exercises require no weights, no machines, just understanding and respecting your body. A strong pelvic floor not only improves bladder control, but also boosts blood flow to the sexual organs, maintaining sensation and reflexes, things many assume are lost with age. Sometimes preserving health doesn't come from grand gestures, but from very private moments only you and your body share. The question is, are you ready to make those moments part of your self-care? I once spoke with Mr. Hoa, 69, a retired man who always seemed to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders. He told me that since retiring, thinking life would be peaceful, he'd actually been more worried than ever. His wife's health, his grandchildren's schooling, and endless money concerns. Each night, he lay awake, his mind like a machine that wouldn't turn off, heart racing, blood pressure high. When I asked if he had ever considered releasing himself naturally, he smiled faintly and shook his head. At my age, still thinking about that? I explained that orgasm, whether through intimacy or masturbation, is one of the most powerful natural stress relievers the body can produce. It reduces cortisol, the hormone that keeps us tense and fatigued. After climax, the body releases endorphins and oxytocin, chemicals that make us feel lighter, warmer, as if a heavy load has been lifted. I compared it to setting down a heavy backpack after a long journey. Your shoulders feel lighter, your steps more relaxed. A few weeks later, Mr. Hoa returned, smiling gently. I followed your advice. Now I sleep deeper and wake up with a clearer mind. Sometimes the solution to stress isn't found in sedatives or complex advice, but in allowing yourself a natural, cost-free, harmless moment that heals your heart and mind. Have you ever tried letting your body heal itself this way? I once met Mr. Tan, 66, who had been living alone since his wife passed away. He told me that since that day, joy had dimmed. Mornings brought no desire to do anything. He would just sit and stare out the window. That dull, empty feeling just clings to me, he said. I asked if he still paid attention to his body. He hesitated. It's been a long time. I haven't thought about it. So I told him something many don't know. Every time you reach orgasm, the brain creates a wonderful chemical cocktail. Dopamine, which sparks interest and motivation. Oxytocin, which brings warmth and connection. Endorphins, which ease stress and create calm. It's like a small party your brain throws for you. No invitations needed, and the only guest is you. I compared it to opening a window to let sunlight flood into a dark room. Suddenly the space is brighter, warmer, making you want to live and do more. Mr. Tan smiled lightly, and a few weeks later, when he returned, he said, I tried, and now I feel lighter inside. Mornings, I naturally want to walk, plant trees. Sometimes what we need isn't a great push, but a small moment that rekindles the feeling that we are still alive, still lovable, still worthy. Our bodies have given us a free happiness lab. The question is, are you willing to open its door and let it heal you? There was a time I met Mr. High, 70, a man who was usually very healthy and rarely went for checkups. One day, he came to the clinic looking worried. I felt a small lump down there. I don't know how long it's been. I just noticed it now. Upon examination, I found it was an early sign of a condition that needed prompt treatment. What concerned me was that if he had paid more regular attention to his body, it could have been detected much earlier and dealt with more easily. In truth, each time you masturbate, it's like giving yourself a personal health check. You feel the sensitivity of your body, notice any unusual changes, whether it's small lumps or swelling in the testicles, pain during erection, or changes in shape. Several of my patients have discovered early testicular cancer or Peyronie's disease simply because of this habit. It's not just about pleasure. It's a way to listen to your body. I often say, your body is like an old friend. If you don't talk to it, you won't notice when it's calling for help. After that visit, Mr. High said, "Now I understand. Caring for myself isn't just about food or exercise. It's also about knowing every reaction my body has." Exactly. Sometimes protecting health starts in the most private moments, when it's just you and your body, no one else. The question is, will you give it that time before it's too late? I remember Mr. Fook, 67, complaining that for years his sleep had been far from complete. He would wake up in the middle of the night, or at 2, 3 a.m., then toss and turn until morning. The next day, he felt drained, sluggish, and mentally tired. He had tried warm milk, soft music, even sleeping pills, but the effects lasted only a few days. When I asked if he had ever thought of using his own body as a switch to turn off the stress mode, he looked surprised. "What do you mean?" I explained that each time you reach orgasm, your body releases oxytocin and prolactin, two hormones that bring deep relaxation, while lowering cortisol, the chemical that keeps the brain on alert. Just like after a heavy rain when the sky becomes cool and still, your brain shifts into a state ready for deep sleep. Some of my patients joke that it's the most effective natural sleeping pill they've ever tried. Mr. Fook just chuckled at the time, but a month later he returned, saying, "I tried it. These days I sleep straight through and wake up with a clear head." Sometimes the cure for insomnia doesn't come from expensive bottles of pills, but from using the natural mechanism your body already has. Good sleep doesn't just help the body recover. It lifts your mood, improves heart health, and sharpens memory. Wouldn't you like to sleep a night like that tonight? I once met Mr. Min, 71, who had loved sports in his youth, but after developing bone and joint problems, gradually began to see his body as a burden. He told me, "Back then when I looked in the mirror, I saw a strong man. Now, I just see an old man with all kinds of aches." That sentence struck me because I understood what it feels like to grow distant from your own body. But I also shared with him that there are ways to rebuild that connection, and one of them is through moments of mindful self-pleasure. When you masturbate consciously, you're giving yourself time to listen to your body, feeling each breath, each reaction, and accepting it as it is, even if it's no longer perfect. It's not just physical enjoyment. It's a reminder that your body can still give you joy, still deserves care and love. I compared it to cleaning an old photograph. The dust of time can't be erased completely, but the light within remains. Months later, Mr. Min told me, "I no longer feel upset when I look in the mirror because I know, though I'm not as strong as before, this body is still my companion." At any age, reconnecting with your body is the first step to loving yourself again. The question is, have you taken that step for yourself yet? I remember Mr. Kai, 65, coming to me looking both embarrassed and confused. He confessed that recently, when being intimate with his wife, he would either finish too soon or take a very long time, yet still fail to climax. Like this, I feel I've lost my manhood, he said, his voice heavy with sadness. I reassured him and explained that changes in sexual reflexes are normal with age, but that doesn't mean we must silently accept them. One effective way to regain control is through mindful masturbation. When you're alone, without pressure, without fear of judgment, you can focus on observing your body, trying techniques like stop-start to learn how to adjust your pace and response. It's a process of both exploration and training, helping you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and how to actively guide your sensations. I compared it to driving an old car. If you practice patiently, you'll know exactly when to accelerate, when to brake, for a smoother ride. A few weeks later, Mr. Kai returned with a bright smile. Now I don't worry anymore. Everything is in my control. Sometimes, what a man needs is not instant perfection, but the feeling that he can still master his body and his pleasure. And you, how long has it been since you last took the wheel of your own car? I once spoke with Mr. Soon, 69, who sighed and told me that lately his desire had almost vanished. It's not that I don't love my wife. It's just that the thought doesn't even cross my mind anymore, he said, eyes tinged with regret. I explained to him that desire is like a forest path. If you walk it often, it stays wide and clear. But if you abandon it, weeds grow, and the way becomes faint and hard to find again. Masturbation, in a sense, is a way of clearing the path. When you actively stir your emotions and awaken your imagination, your brain maintains the neural connections linked to pleasure and desire. This isn't only about keeping the body in practice, but about nurturing the emotional landscape, the memories, and the bond with your own sexual life. I told him about another patient who, by keeping this habit, still felt quick physical responses and a lively mind, even past 70. Months later, Mr. Sun met me again and smiled. Now I understand. Desire doesn't vanish. It only falls asleep. And I learned how to wake it up. At any age, keeping desire alive is not just for satisfaction. It's a reminder that we are still living, still capable of feeling. The question is, have you let your own path be forgotten for too long? You see, throughout this conversation, I haven't spoken of masturbation after 60 as a mere act, but as part of the larger picture of elder health, physical, mental, and emotional. The 10 benefits I've shared, from improving penile health, protecting the prostate, strengthening the pelvic floor, reducing stress, and improving sleep, to keeping the fire of desire alive, all point to one truth: your body still deserves attention and respect, no matter your age. I know for many this topic still carries shyness, even shame, but science has proven, and clinical experience shows, this is not something to avoid, but an opportunity to understand yourself better, to actively protect your health, and to enjoy the good things life can offer, even in old age. More importantly, it breaks the prejudices that make us unknowingly abandon a part of our own value. If you're still hesitant after hearing this, remember, everybody has its own story. You are the one who knows your limits and needs best. Listen to it. Notice even the smallest signals and don't hesitate to seek information or talk to your doctor if needed. Like Mr. Lamb, Mr. Quang, or Mr. Sun, just one small change in thinking can bring comfort, confidence, and better health in the years to come. And I believe that at any age, we deserve a life full of health and feeling. No one has the right to mock you for caring for yourself in this way. On the contrary, you should be proud for being brave enough to break invisible walls built over decades. If today's story touched you or reminded you of yourself, I hope to hear your thoughts. Leave a few lines in the comments. Tell me if you've ever felt something like in this video. These shared stories will bring our community closer, so no one feels they are walking alone on this journey. And if you want to keep exploring the hidden but meaningful corners of elder health, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next videos. I promise there will be more real stories, simple science, and gentle but deep lessons I want to share with you. We will meet again to live in old age, not just long, but worth savoring every moment. Are you ready to walk this path with me?